Hi, and welcome to session 3 in our Eat Well home group series. Man, I'm so excited that we're doing a series about food. You know, all through the Bible, there are all these analogies that are food-oriented. That's why this is a food gospel analogy series. Today's verse is in Matthew 6, verse 11. But before we get into that, let's just do a quick recap of our first 2 sessions. In session 1, we were reminded that we are all connected. After all, we are what we eat. So we connect to the land, we connect to other food, we connect to animals and plants just by eating. In fact, we're even connected to the environment around us, right? And so food reminds us that we're connected, and we ask the question, what are we connected to? What are we connecting to in our lives? Session 2 reminded us to be faithful, that we cannot divorce key relationships that God has placed in our lives. Obviously, key relationships like our marriage and with God, but with food, it's the relationship between the preparation of food and the consumption of food. Or are we just consumers? You know, if we just have a consumer mentality for life, then we divorce away what God intended in the preparation of food. Today, we are going to be looking at how eating reminds us of our dependency. We are mortal, dependent people. And every time we need food, we're reminded that we are dependent, that we're not self-sufficient. You know, God's self-sufficient. God doesn't need to eat. God is self-sufficient. We are not. I think food, okay, now I know this might be a little bit gross, but food is a mortality reminder. If we don't eat, we die. So the fact that we desire food, that there's food around, it's a constant reminder that we need food, otherwise we die. Also, something died so that we might live. Even if it's a plant, maybe it's an animal, but something died that we may live. Every time we eat, I know you don't want to think about it too much, but I'm pretty sure something died so that you could eat it and so that you could live. It's a fact. It's a fact that we need to live, that we need to eat every single day to live. That's why in our passage in Matthew 6:11, part of the Lord's Prayer, it says this: give us our daily bread. Somehow we're reminded through the food analogy that we need something daily in order to live. Today, the topic is gratefulness. For us to be grateful. That's why it's important for us, before we eat, to say grace. Now, I know it might seem like a really simple thing, and oh my goodness, I'm sure many people watching this video, you say grace every day. Dear God, thank you for the food in Jesus' name, amen. Boop, and then you eat it, right? Like, I'm pretty sure grace is something that you do almost like a remote control thing, and you don't even think about it. But I've heard one theologian say this: to say grace or to offer thanksgiving over a meal is among the highest and most honest expressions of humanity. Why is that? It means that before we consume, before we eat, we pause and we take a moment to realize we are dependent. We do need food. We need the provider of food, give us this day our daily bread, and we are not the creator of food. And so, by eating, we recognize something died that we may live. I need this every day. And so when we say grace, we pause enough of our life to recognize, God, I'm grateful that today I have food to eat. I'm grateful that today I get to live another day. We thank God for this food. Gratitude acknowledges God. It does this thing where it makes us more appreciative. If you slow down and if you take grace seriously, the saying of grace, and I know like the whole of this session is about gratitude, and a lot of it I'm going to talk about grace before eating. And that's because I don't want us to just do religious things for the sake of doing it. We must understand, why is it that grace has been indoctrinated into us? Why is it that Christians all around the world pause before they eat to say grace? I think it makes us more appreciative of what God has given us, and more appreciative as people. We're thankful for the food that we have. We acknowledge God. But one step further, because our key passage for the whole series, right, is in John 6:35. Jesus says, I am the bread of life. So if we take this one step further, we are thankful for Jesus, our bread of life. And so pausing to be grateful, pausing to say grace, reminds us also to be thankful for Jesus. Oh my goodness. That is an epic food gospel analogy. All right? So today, very simple session. It's a session that every time we take food, we're grateful for it. It's a reminder of our mortality. It's a reminder of our dependency, that we are human beings, are not the top of the whole world. We are not idols. We are not God. We are dependent. Because if we don't eat, we don't live. And we know there is somebody who gave up his life for us that we may live. And that's why I think the food gospel analogy is so powerful in the Bible. So many verses talk about food. And it has bled into our life practice of grace and of gratefulness. So I'm hoping that today you'll take some time to be a bit more grateful, to be a bit more intentional about how we say grace even, and you'll have a good discussion in your home group. God bless.